Looks like you're ready. We're going to go live. Okay, hang on. Wait till we pull it up. We're pulling it up right now. We're live here on YouTube. Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. If you're on Periscope and Facebook, you already heard this introduction. YouTube wasn't up with us, so come along, YouTube. We aren't running this late. We've been going for about 5 minutes. And thank you guys for telling me. I said, how's Nigel's audio? And they were like, you're not on YouTube yet. So blame YouTube for this whole new system that they did that I have to do. Cesspool, yeah. That I have to do just one extra thing. And sometimes that may not get done. So yes, we are live right now. Okay.
All right.
We're going to restart Nigel.
We're going to, yeah. Well, let me just give a tiny intro here. Brexit, the deal is supposedly done. It still has to be signed by Parliament. We want to be as chipper and cheerful as possible because Nigel is as chipper and cheerful as possible. He's not crestfallen. He's not saying that this isn't a sellout. It's a sellout. He's saying it's done. And there are things that are not as good as he had hoped, but they are doable and they're workable. Things like the fisheries that it's kind of kicking the can down the road, but you are getting 25% of your waters and then you renegotiate in 2026 and a phase down. But all in all, Nigel is pretty pleased. I feel like he feels that there's a weight off his shoulders and that it's finally over. And so without further ado,
all right,
Mr. Nigel
Periscope and Facebook, just if you need to, just
go to the bathroom, get take some coffee, come back in 3 or 4 minutes.
2020 and we finally got some sort of a Brexit deal after 4.5 years.
I was wondering where everyone was in the chat.
Of no deal is over. I never believed a word of that. I think that was the government trying to say to us, we're battling hard for you. So what does it all mean? Well, I've got concerns, of course I have. Concerns that the fishing industry, another 5.5 years of too many fish being caught in British waters by EU boats and a very slow phase-in of increased quota. Does it mean, for example, that in Cornwall, Cornish fishermen can land bluefin tuna next year alongside the French and the Spanish and Portuguese who land 24,500 tonnes? I don't know the answer yet, and that's because we haven't yet seen the document. We're told it's going to be almost 2,000 pages. The other big concern is I saw Ursula von der Leyen today basically saying, look, the Brits have agreed that they're going to stay with the EU rulebook. So we'll be making our own laws, but staying roughly in parallel with the rest of the EU. And that equally is a big concern because, part of leaving is about us becoming more competitive, getting more money being invested in Britain from all over the world. So they're the two areas that I'm concerned about. What I was pleased about was when Monsieur Barnier looked a little crestfallen when he said the British have not agreed to cooperate in terms of foreign policy and defence. Well, let's hope that stays that way because that's a big step forward from where we were just a year ago. There will be, of course, over the next weeks, some real analysis of what all of this means. But the big point, I think, to hoist on board today is this. The Brexit wars have gone on really relentlessly since the Maastricht Treaty. That big rebellion 30 years ago when people tried to stop John Major from signing the treaty that turned it into a European Union. And it was shortly before that when I became engaged in this battle, and I completely gave up hope that the rebels in the Conservative or Labour Party would ever be able to achieve anything. And I decided to fight this from without. I did it through UKIP for over a quarter of a century, and then latterly through the Brexit Party. And here's the really important thing to remember. Imperfect though this new EU treaty may be, we have made the most colossal step forward. Leaving the EU is the biggest constitutional change in our country for 300 years. It may not feel like that to some in Northern Ireland today, but overall, for the UK, it is. And do you know something? We're already finding countries all over the world that want to sign trade agreements with us. There'll be skirmishes to come, but the big war, the big battle that we've had, and our battle has not just been against Brussels, it's been against the establishment in Britain. The Conservative Party were the party of Europe. They've now become the party of Brexit. And it only happened because millions of you were prepared to vote UKIP. Millions of you were prepared to vote for the Brexit Party. This was a genuine democratic revolution that took place within our country. You stood up, you did different, you voted in a different way to your parents and grandparents because you wanted change. As I say, this may not be perfect, but we've left and there's no going back. We're not rejoining the single market, we're not rejoining the customs union, we're not rejoining the EU, and we're never, ever going to join the euro. And unlike Boris Johnson, who spoke today in glowing terms about the European Union as an organisation, I see it as an anti-democratic monster that's doing huge harm to other countries in Europe. And I think history will show that not only did you, by daring to stand up against the establishment, not only did you get the independence of the United Kingdom, but you began the breakup of this project that has done so much damage to so many people right across the European continent. So today, or at least the 1st of January, when it happens, marks a very big moment. Huge moment in my life after 30 years of fighting for this.
Yeah.
Big moment in British history. In years to come, it'll mark a big moment, I think, too, in European and in global history. I want to wish you a happy Christmas. I want to go to the pub now, really, and celebrate, but we're not allowed to do that anymore. So have as good a Christmas as you possibly can. And remember, this may not be perfect,
Leave him back
but
there
the
while we
war
talk
is
about
over.
it.
Okay.
Oh, rewind it just a little bit so that it's anywhere and just keep pause. There you go. That's perfect. That's a funny face, but that's fine. Okay, so this is really exciting.
Yes.
Nigel seems happy, and that makes us happy. And so I think that once the document comes out and the devil's in the details, maybe we'll be happier about some things. Maybe we will be less happy about some things.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, what he was saying essentially is that it's over.
Yeah.
The battle really was won.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Jim says Remainer MPs hate Boris so much that they will vote against the deal, despite saying they oppose the deal for no deal for over 4 years.
So, okay, but do you really think that there would be enough?
No,
there's not going to be enough people.
Yeah.
It's going to sail through.
Yeah, I think because there's enough compromise.
And I had seen something the other day. I don't know if it was in the chat by one of you guys or just something on my Facebook.
Yeah.
About how happy I think a lot of people are that Theresa May's deal, which was terrible,
Yeah.
got voted down. This so far is vastly better than Theresa May's deal.
Britt says, I'm fairly happy, but the UK still has a lot of work to do.
Right.
All right, so I have another.
Jim West says the EU will integrate so much more without us that future harmonization will be impossible. We won't rejoin.
So Nigel Farage has a YouTube channel, and he's very excited about how he's reached 200,000 subscribers. He should be at like a couple million.
Exactly.
But I want to play his little thank you here that he did just about an hour ago.
From me. Now 200,000 of you subscribe to YouTube. I hope you've enjoyed what I've put out. I've certainly
I can turn it up here.
Yeah.
For Nigel Farage Investigates. I've been out in the English Channel, as you know, making that story a much bigger story because it was being ignored by mainstream media. I've been out all around the country, and I want to say a big thank you also to those of you that send in through my website every day stories about what's going on in Britain today, what's not being reported. I do read all of the emails. I try and answer them all too. Please keep it coming, and I'll keep more content going out on YouTube.
Yay,
Awesome.
Nigel! If you guys notice, our new speaker has like a ton of bass to it, and everything. I want everything to be a song. I want Nigel to bust up.
This is the speaker. You may thank Brick Girl for helping us to purchase. It's intense. It's called the JBL Charge 4. It really is an intense speaker.
It is very intense.
What I was showing Leah is this goes in and out, and it like vibrates really, really fast with the bass. I don't know if there's settings on there I can adjust.
He and Michael Gove were the two senior Conservative politicians who, when the referendum came, albeit late in the day, but that's not the point, They had the guts to back Brexit, and thank goodness they did. So yes, Boris will be seen as the man that finished the job. Perhaps not perfectly, but yes, he's done what he said he'd do. On the big picture, I suspect on some of the detail, such as we'll be back in charge of our fisheries, history may judge some of those aspects a little more harshly. But on the big stuff, the war is over. It has gone on for decades in this country, from the Maastricht Rebellion onwards. It's never, ever gone away. The fight over whether we should be part of the European structures or not. And now we're out, arguably with a new treaty that's a bit closer to a partnership agreement. It's not perfect, but goodness me, it's still progress.
Goodness me, it's still progress. All right, the war is over. Nigel Farage in the Daily Mail says, the war is over as 2020 dawns. The most dramatic political conflict of our lifetime will draw to a close. This issue, which says broken prime ministerial careers and divided families, will no longer dominate our lives in the same way. With the precise terms of our leaving, while the precise terms of our leaving may continue to be finessed for some time, the fact that the anti-EU movement ever got this far is a political miracle. And then remember, it was back in 1990 when Britain joined the ill-fated exchange rate mechanism that Nigel Farage became a leaver. He says, it was apparent to me that the European Common Market and the Free Trade Area, as it was originally known in the spirit of post-war reconciliation, had turned into an undemocratic monster. As the arch-Europhile Tony Blair later admitted, the rationale for Europe today is not peace, it is power. All of Britain's political parties, business lobbies, and most of the media broadly supported our membership of what from 1993 became the European Union. Although there were some strong Conservative and Labour voices who spoke out against the Maastricht Treaty, which established the political union, nobody was prepared to sacrifice their career by calling for Britain to leave. To do so would have been political suicide. Realizing this, I made a decision that would define my life for more than a quarter of a century. I decided to fight for the cause of national independence via a brand new political party called UKIP. Little did I know that the extraordinary price I would have to pay for challenging the status quo. One person who warned me how tough it would be was Norman Tebbit, with whom we all have sympathy this weekend following the death of his wife, Margaret. You all know who this is.
No one knows who they are. But I'm sorry
she
about
was
your
paralyzed by the IRA's bombing of the Grand Hotel Brighton in 1984. Norman told me that I was now an enemy of the state and that people would stop at nothing to prevent me from succeeding. In the early years, it was hard going. Indeed, I was the only UKIP candidate to save my deposit in the 1997 general election. But by then I was committed, bloody-minded, and happy to tour the country, relentlessly speaking at public meetings. To those who knew me, I quickly became the patron saint of lost causes. Ironically, what gave the movement a boost was the introduction of proportional representation in the European elections in 1999. 3 of us became UKIP MEPs that year. What further changed the political weather even more dramatically was the expansion of the EU in 2004. Its membership grew to incorporate the first 8, then 10 former communist countries. It was obvious that if people from relatively poor countries were going to be allowed to move in unlimited numbers to a much richer country, they would do so in droves. I knew that this was the issue that to alter everything. National democracy and sovereignty are important, but so is the right of everyday people to remain in work, pay their mortgage, and do the best for their children. It was plain that vast numbers of people arriving in Britain unchecked would have a negative impact on wages, housing, and public services, and would lead to discontent. That is why I tried to make clear that uncontrolled immigration and Britain's relationship with the EU were synonymous. With all of the main parties being in favor of the EU's enlargement and the free movement of people that went with it, the path was clear for UKIP's Purple Revolution to begin. Support for the party surged. We won the 2014 European elections when then 2 Tory MPs quit their seats to stand in by-elections as UKIP candidates. They were returned to the Commons. All this led directly to the 2016 referendum. If David Cameron had not agreed to hold the vote, the Conservatives' national support would have collapsed. But for this to win, a referendum in opposition to every major political party, business group, trade union, media organization, and global leader was never going to be easy. As a team acting on its own, I think that UKIP, the businessman Aaron Banks, and a handful of dependable rebel Labour and Tory MPs could have scored about 43% in the referendum. That is why it was so crucial that Boris Johnson, who is now finishing the job, opted to join the Leave side. Johnson's Vote Leave group, which included Michael Gove, got us over the line. See, he's so magnanimous, even though he's an idiot now. Okay, yet this was only the beginning of the bitter battle that would follow. I think they did something when they gave him the when he went to the hospital. I'm just telling you.
He did not come out from COVID the same.
No, he came out an alien. Even though the result of the vote was crystal clear, with a majority of more than 1.25 million. I wonder if he got close to death, and they said, "You're gonna have to change, or we're gonna just."
It was a threat.
Yeah. He must have made a deal with the devil. More than 1.2 million people backing Brexit. The establishment spent 3.5 years trying to overturn it. I think that historians will look back on the 2016 and 2019 period in astonishment. Whether it was the BBC, then Common Speaker John Bercow, or hundreds of backbench MPs, a stubborn refusal to respect the outcome took hold. It was accompanied by... I just roll with it. Accompanied by a coarseness not seen before in modern politics. The ensuing stalemate and the extension of the UK's departure date was unsettling. But it was clear that the public had not changed their minds. In fact, having seen the arrogant and overbearing nature of Brussels throughout the time, I am sure that in many cases their resolve was strengthened. I have seen many people say, I didn't vote Leave, but let's go, let's get it over with, we're done, you people are idiots.
Get on with it.
When I launched the Brexit Party as a means to reestablish our tattered democracy, the wave of support was immediate. Millions of pounds were donated in small sums online. The huge victory we scored in 2019 European election that was so awesome led to Theresa May's resignation and the premiership of Boris Johnson. We then had our day of celebration on January 31st this year in Parliament Square. After 47 years, we had left the EU, and no doubt to the relief of the European Parliament, I left Brussels. The 11 months since have given rise to more trench warfare as the EU did its best to keep the UK aligned to its rules. I am sorry to say that for all the tough talk of Mr. Johnson and his chief negotiator, Lord Frost, some major concessions have been made. Northern Ireland has been cut off from the rest of the UK. The European human rights regime will remain in place here. Our coastal communities have been saddled with rotten fishing deal. The EU firms will still be allowed to tender for UK government contracts. In regulatory terms, the EU will hold a sword of Damocles over Britain with the threat of immediate tariffs if they judge that Britain is being too competitive. This is not what I campaigned for, and it most certainly is not what Boris Johnson's supporters voted for in the 2019 general election. These handicaps will not allow Britain to transform itself into the Singapore-style entity in a European time zone that it could become. In 2021, however, I suspect that the debate around the EU will fade as more pressing concerns materialize. Let's be in no doubt, though, Brexit was and is an epic triumph for the people against the political classes. It will, I'm sure, prove to be the beginning of the end of the European Union. There is no going back. We won.
Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That's so good. Thank you, Sir Nigel. Let's see. Janice Heath, I love this. She says, I'm enjoying Christmas with my British and Spanish family. For me, Spain has been home for over 20 years and has treated me so very well. I hope everyone keeps safe and well for the next chapter. I just love when we have people from around the world. I think that's fantastic. Jim West says, having 5 or 6 similar nations with close levels of wealth means immigration between them is low, and high-skilled EU just got too big and bloated. Icewater says the UK took in 330,000 migrants during the pandemic. Britt Baza says Brussels has helped the Leave camp as more people change their stance from original vote because of their attitude.
Jim West says Donald Tusk and Juncker helped the Leave campaign a lot. The same as Barnier. None have any likability.
Exactly.
Firehurst says Italy next, and there will be elections. I don't know if they will be this year or not. And so we'll see.
I think if anyone exits first, it will be either Italy or Poland or Hungary. Those are my 3 guesses there. And I understand that they are dependent on the EU, but frankly, they're not. Okay? When it's kind of like, it reminds me of, we've had friends in the past where their in-laws really contribute to like their finances. They're always buying things for them and stuff. And so they feel like they can't say no to the in-laws because they need that money. Well, guess what? Actually, you really, really don't. You think you need it because you're using it, but once it's cut off, you will find a way. And that's what I think that we're looking at with Hungary and Poland. And I think that they know that.
Yeah.
And so that's going to give them the confidence to walk away.
Yeah, we're going to go, we'll talk about Poland in a second here, how they are going after a social media company. So they're for free speech. For the countries that are supposedly anti-free speech, they are pro-free speech. So up is down, down is up. Also up being down and down being up. Let's go over a little bit of the crazy cuppas in the police state of the UK over the COVID. It's almost like a nanny state meets the little girl who is always going to the teacher to tell on her classmates.
Right.
This is tattletale on steroids. And we've all been told, don't be a tattletale. Don't be a tattletale. A tattletale is somebody where, Johnny is picking his nose and flicking boogers, and you go and you're just telling your teacher.
Because if Johnny is picking his nose and flicking the boogers, Michelle is going to go tell the teacher. Okay. So that's a bad example.
Okay. Some things just need to be resolved amongst yourselves. So this year we saw the British police stalking dog walkers, fines for unauthorized car journeys, telling Britons to snitch on their neighbors, and arresting protesters at Britain's sacred space for free speech. They're just some examples of the British policing during 2020, the year of the Chinese virus. When Prime Minister Boris Johnson passed the emergency coronavirus legislation on March 23rd, he also gave police expanded powers to enforce it, telling Britons, if you don't follow the rules, the police will have powers to enforce them, including fines and to disperse gatherings. Have you got a license for that fresh air you're trying to breathe?
Oh, that's
Do
good.
you?
Did you?
Do you?
Did you make that up?
No, it's an article.
Oh, okay, because that was really
Yes.
good.
No sooner had police been given the powers than they were flexing their muscles and using them, oftentimes publishing details of the supposed COVID crimes on social media while they let knife crimes and petty theft go, unnoticed. And
No, because, and this is really important because if you are asymptomatic and you have no illnesses at all, and you go out in public, you are a walking weapon of death.
Yeah.
And anywhere you go, especially if you are not wearing a mask, just your very aura and presence can slay people. And I'm amazed that people are not using this superpower to go after those that they don't like. Because I got some people, and I'm not gonna lie, I probably should be using my superpower that who I have sworn off never being around again, might go and get around while I am perfectly healthy and perfectly well, because I know that if I go around them without a mask, they will die just by being around me, because COVID is real.
Derbyshire Police was exposed as one of the most zealous police forces, provoking the condemnation of a former Supreme Court judge in the media, and came to media attention when its officers cracked down on the rural dog walkers. You're out there in the country and you're walking your dogs. Get home, get home. You're spreading the COVID.
Your dog is spreading the COVID. Your dog, everywhere he pees, spreads COVID, and it is going out like, pollen into the air.
Remember the drones?
Killing everybody in rural UK.
They used drones and posted the video on social media.
Yes.
2 months.
This is unacceptable. I am behind this 100% because you can't go around just killing people with your
2
dog
months
walking.
later, the same force went to extreme measures to discourage swimmers. They dyed a lagoon in a beauty spot
Remember that one.
lack. Some months later, Greater Manchester Police shamed a man on social media for breaching social distancing laws by having a cup of tea at his friend's house, fining him £200.
Did you know that if you swim in the same swimming pool with someone that has COVID, you will die instantly and fall to the bottom?
Well, I think your limbs fall off one by one first. Warrington Police, meanwhile, relished in telling the public that it had fined a man for going for a drive out of boredom and penalizing a household for walking to the shops to buy non-essentials.
If you buy something that is not essential,
Your blow dryer went out?
No.
But you can do without that.
We
blow
watched
dryer.
It's a Wonderful Life the other night. Love that movie. It never gets old. But this is a little known fact. Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. But every time you buy something that is non-essential, someone dies. Someone literally falls over dead.
Speaking of non-essentials, in April, one force suggested that it would police shoppers' baskets and trolleys for items that were considered non-essential. Officers also said it said to have harassed convenience store owners, telling them not to sell chocolate Easter eggs because they were not considered essential items. It is true that sugar does lower your immune system. So 6 weeks after the rules were imposed, the Crown Prosecution Services, CPS, ordered a review of every charge, conviction, and sentence related to the COVID laws following reports that police were wrongfully charging people. However, the zeal for fining Britons has not abated, with a report from November that South Yorkshire police have handed out more than £100,000 of fines for the Halloween weekend alone.
Wow.
Just this month, police were accused of intimidating and harassing punters and staff in English pubs while enforcing rules that alcohol could only be purchased with substantial meals, sometimes ordering patrons to leave. September saw the government introduce a limit on public gatherings to 6, which resulted in senior ministers, including the Home Secretary Priti Patel, enthusiastically telling Britons that if they see their neighbours exceeding those numbers or otherwise breaking lockdown, they should call the police because that 7th person has the COVID and 6 do not. The policing minister promised the rollout of COVID-secure marshals to help ensure public compliance. And people have decided to just get rid of some of their children so they could get 2 households together. In response to the Home Secretary saying it was Home Alone all over again. No, you must go upstairs, stay in the attic until we get home. In response to the Home Secretary saying that she would call the police on her own neighbours, Brexit leader Nigel remarked, "Have we become like East Germany where children were encouraged to report on their parents?" 1 month later, a senior policing figure called snitching a civic duty, with Britons so keen to inform on each other that they swamped police telephone lines in the weeks after the minister's encouragement to do so. This is what public schooling does to children. Makes you very compliant and very eager to be compliant. It's to the point where you are looking to feel good about yourself. I saw them. And then remember, I want you to remember, the Manchester bomber.
Yes.
Was at the Ariana Grande concert. And people had notified security that a young man looked suspicious carrying around a backpack. But in order not to appear racist, we ignored it. We ignored a real threat. We ignored a real snitching that should have been done. And he should have been pulled aside and fined. And maybe children would be alive today.
I'm still stuck back a couple paragraphs where you mentioned the substantial meal in order to be able to get alcohol. Now, I'm not a drinker, but for 1 second, I'm going to pretend that I am, okay? Sometimes when we go out to eat to a restaurant, a substantial meal for me is just a bucket of French fries. You know, the kind with like the Parmesan cheese and the seasoning and stuff. Just like, would they count that as a substantial meal so I could get my pint?
No, probably not.
And that's really disappointing because this is discrimination against people that don't eat a lot.
And people who just want the French fries.
And people that just want the French fries. Because sometimes this girl just wants the French fries and forget the rest. Okay? This is discrimination.
London Metropolitan Police Service came under criticism this year for its inconsistent policing of the Marxist Black Lives Matter protests where rioters vandalized memorials, violently assaulted police officers. Remember the horses?
Virus doesn't spread.
Do you remember
BLM.
the horses? That was heartbreaking.
That really was hard.
Versus peaceful anti-lockdown demonstrations. In one notable disparity in May, police intervened at an anti-lockdown protest at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, hallowed ground for British free speech, arresting activists, but the next day intervened little when BLM and Antifa flooded the capital despite lockdown measures banning mass gatherings. Of course, that order came directly from George Soros. In June, the Met Police said that while it acknowledged BLM protests were illegal and posed a health risk, its officers would not be enforcing the law and shutting them down for fear of serious disorder and violence.
Right.
Much like here in America, where the elections have gone awry, but they are just afraid to do the right thing. Met Police Commissioner Christanda Dick said, judgments have been made that people are out in such numbers, feeling so strongly, and are refusing to disperse when asked, that the officers have formed the view that if they try at any stage with those sorts of numbers to enforce force en masse, we probably would have ended up with very serious disorder and a bad situation, a difficult situation, a challenging situation for everyone, turning into a violent situation. So what they're saying is the anti-lockdowners are not violent, and they would not turn into a violent situation, so we can crack down on them. So we allow the toddlers with knives to go around stabbing people, or get what they want in order not to stab people, because we know that they will, because they're toddlers.
But it's worse than that, because when you look at the bigger picture, it actually, that is an incorrect statement. They're not refusing to go after the protesters because they're afraid that the protesters are going to get worse. Their entire goal for 2020 has been chaos at every level.
Yeah.
That's why they implemented this pandemic. That's why they implemented all of the riots. It goes against what they want to shut down what they want.
Right.
Okay? What they want is to shut you down, and they want rioters in the streets.
Yes.
They don't want, it's not that they are afraid that the rioters are going to get worse. They're afraid that the rioting will stop.
In a recent episode of disturbing London lockdown policing, riot police were caught on camera by Breitbart London's Kurt Zindulka questioning London politician David Curtin for a second time, demanding he identify himself while talking to press during an anti-lockdown demonstration. I've been asked for my name as if I am a criminal just for doing an interview with you in London. This is the beginning of fascism. There's a clear bias, Mr. Curtin said. We're against the lockdown, but Black Lives Matter protests are allowed to go ahead, but they are coming and specifically targeting people who are just talking because they think we're against the lockdown and we might have opinions that may not be acceptable to those in Westminster. Now, remember, the former Supreme Court Judge Lord Sumption is one of the most senior figures in British law to voice concern over our government overreach. Following the passing of emergency coronavirus legislation and expanded powers, he called it what it is: a police force. Speaking in March, the senior judge, still a member of the Supreme Court supplementary panel, said that the petty abuses of power exercised by those like Derbyshire Police, this is what a police state is like. It is a state in which the government can issue orders or express preferences with no legal authority, and the police enforce ministers' wishes with no laws ever being voted on or passed, right? However, he warned the people of Britain have their part to play in not surrendering their freedom so readily. The problem is when human societies lose their freedom, it's not usually because tyrants have taken it away. It's usually because people willingly surrender their freedom in return for protection from some external threat. And that threat is usually a real threat, but usually exaggerated. And that is what I fear we are seeing. We have to recognize this is how societies become despots. That is so good. There is usually a little bit of truth and a little bit of reality, but it is exaggerated. Okay? So with that, I will tell you guys a little story.
Oh, it's story time?
It's story time.
Wait, we need to set this up. I need like a little thing, like it comes in like do story time with Leah.
So I got a phone call or a text message from a friend who had a family member who was diagnosed with COVID.
Yeah, this is good.
And she was worried that this person had some lung issues. Well, I got a hold of another family member, and I was trying to get them to this website right here, America's Frontline Doctors, and get them an appointment.com. So America's Frontline Doctors. And right here, you can try to get an appointment. Click on hydroxychloroquine availability, options for patients and doctors to obtain and subscribe hydroxychloroquine. And then you could click on your state and see a standard prescription in several states, some difficulty in the yellow states, nearly impossible in Colorado, Arkansas, Mississippi, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York.
That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. But
so we're really blessed here in Ohio.
Yeah. So, but worldwide availability of hydroxychloroquine based on law or common practice. So near the United States and Canada and Australia and Europe, nearly impossible. But over the counter with minimal restriction in most of Africa, looks like in Russia, in India, it's over the counter, so we have to fly to India.
What's going on, like
South America,
down here?
Chile.
Is that what that is? Yeah, I think that is.
decides that it's not safe for you, looks like you can get it in Antarctica.
Totally fine and legal in Antarctica. You're good to go. Some people may travel there just to get it.
Yeah. So anyways, this took a while to get an appointment. So try this first. You can click on your state. But they were having difficulty. It's going to be a couple days before a doctor called them back. I don't know. But the person's doctor, she was able to call and get the hydroxychloroquine. And because here's the thing, this is the key. Hydroxychloroquine works as a prophylactic to help you. But it's the drug that opens up your cells. You need the antibiotic, the Z-Pack,
And zinc.
and the zinc to go after the virus. So I hadn't heard from them. I heard that they were able to get a hold of the drugs. I wasn't sure which antibiotic they gave her. They gave her the Z-Pack, and I just heard from them yesterday. And this was a couple weeks ago that this happened, and immediately she was not doing well. She was doing horribly. Immediately after she started to take the hydroxy and the Z-Pack and the zinc, she turned the corner and she was able to celebrate Christmas with her family.
That's amazing.
So here's the thing.
Here it is.
This is what I would tell Lord. I would, as Lord Sumptian, I would say there is a virus here that works in a very interesting way, in which antibiotics don't work on the flu, from what we understand. But it does work on those viruses that begin to go in and affect us, like pneumonia, right? So a virus can help create pneumonia.
We have viral infections and bacterial infections, okay? What's so interesting about COVID is that it is a virus that can then cause your body to develop bacterial infection. So your body is fighting off two different things.
We also don't know. Honestly, I'm not a scientist. We don't know the makeup of this COVID because these drugs seem to work from the onset without it switching from a virus to some sort of
really
bacteria. Is it some sort of bacteria?
I wonder if it has a bacterial strain in it. They did so much frankincense when they created this in some place.
They did what?
They did something.
They'd say it again. They did so much what?
Frankincense. Frankenstein. I thought you were going to correct me saying they created this. I'm like, oh, we're over that. They don't
did
care.
so much frankincense.
Frankenstein. Now you know where my mind is almost always on essential oils. And Christmas time. They did so much Frankenstein stuff to this when they created it in a lab, which I think we're allowed to say, that we really don't know what all is in there. I'm gonna fix your ear. You did this. Did you do this for the UK show?
Little crowns.
She's wearing little crowns. One was sideways. I wanted
Jim
to fix
West.
your crown.
You're right. Quercetin. Now write that down, guys. Go to Amazon.
Quercetin.
Quercetin. That is a little level lower than hydroxy, but it works the same. It's what it is it's an allergy medicine, and with COVID, it affects your body in a way, from what we understand, like an allergy. Okay.
It causes your body to go into overdrive in fighting something, and a lot of times when people have problems, it's your immune system that is actually hurting you. And COVID does the same thing. It's really an immunosuppressant is the best way to say it.
So by the way, the nations that are in the green where hydroxy is used a lot, their numbers are down. They don't have big numbers. Right. They don't have big outbreaks. People are not dying in large numbers or getting sick or testing positive.
But we do need to tell you guys that we now know the reason why they had to suppress. Now it's kind of okay. It's becoming, which is good. That's good to be able to talk about the hydroxychloroquine and stuff.
Right,
but before we couldn't, because you cannot fast track a vaccine if there is an available and effective treatment.
Right.
So they couldn't allow it to be available and effective.
So I want you guys to have hope that there is plenty of hope. Now,
hope that there's hope.
Yeah. The word I felt like the Lord gave me was he knew that they would come out with the virus and he had a cure for it.
This is what we would look like if you were taller than me.
Leah's
chair's sitting higher. This is good. I could be the little sister. And you do look really nice today. They were saying that you look like a news anchor.
Oh, I put my glasses on so I can see.
I love that lady saying, you kind of said, well, he was saying a British one, Barry West. I love that you say that we kind of look like them because we kind of are news commentators. commentators. So it's kind of what we are. So I'm glad that we actually looked the part today.
Yeah. All right. So the lockdowns were inspired by the Chinese Communist Party. Admits professor, pants down. I love professor's pants down. That's the guy who had the affair and went against the rules. Professor Neil Ferguson.
Went against his own rules and advice.
Yeah, it shows you how. So the guy with the discredited Imperial College computer modeler behind Britain's draconian lockdown policies has come clean about his inspiration. None of it would have been possible without that shining light on a hill, the CCP. In an extraordinary interview in the Times of London, Ferguson admits that if it hadn't been for China's example, no Western country would have ever dreamed of putting its populace under house arrest. Back in 2019, about the time someone was getting infected by a bat, no European country's pandemic plans seriously entertained the prospect of putting a country on pause. Then, that's what China did. I think people's sense of what is possible in terms of control changed quite dramatically between January and March. Professor Ferguson says, what's possible?
What's possible?
What's possible? Ferguson appears to find the ideal of emulating a totalitarian state exciting rather than embarrassing or shaming, because he boasts about it again later. In the interview in January, members of SAGE, the government scientific advisory group, had watched as China enacted this innovative intervention in pandemic control that was also a medieval intervention. They claim to have flattened the curve. I was skeptical at first. I thought it was a massive cover-up by the Chinese, but as the data accrued, it became clear it was an effective policy. Then as infection seeded across the world, springing up like angry boils on the map, SAGE debated whether, nevertheless, it would be effective here. It's a communist one-party state, we said. We couldn't get away with it in Europe, we thought. In February, one of those boils raged just below the Alps, and then Italy did it, and we realized we could. The phrase "get away with it" is instructive. It implies that, at least at a subconscious level, Ferguson is aware that copying CCP's lockdown policy was not a morally acceptable act, merely one that peculiar circumstances made possible. Though the lockdowns are unprecedented in modern history and have, in the UK, been responsible for the biggest collapse in GDP in 300 years, as well as the destruction of many thousands of businesses and hundreds of thousands of jobs, Ferguson shows zero contrition for having provided the computer model doomsday scenarios responsible for all this misery. Nor does he apologize for the incident during the first lockdown when he was caught breaking the rules he helped create by, with his mistress. I made some mistakes. I've been completely open in terms of saying they were mistakes. But nevertheless, the fact that journalists were digging into my private life at that level of detail was not something I could ever imagine. That's not something you want to be on the end of.
Wait. Pause right there. I didn't think that people would be snooping into my private level of life. I didn't think that everybody was going to find out about it. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Like, it was a mistake, because if I had known that they were going to find out about it, then I wouldn't have done it. It's not that I wouldn't have done it because I shouldn't have done it because my rule said that I shouldn't have done it. It's that I wouldn't have done it because I would have got caught.
So that tells you all you need to know, pretty much. Okay? He did not care about lives. He did not think 2 million people were going to die. And I believe he is the same guy who had a bunch of cattle killed for hoof and mouth disease in the UK, just slaughtered and gone. And I think that was part of a far left agenda to make it so you couldn't eat beef.
Wow.
Honestly.
Wow. But so speaking about killing people with COVID,
yeah,
one of those things that's not that funny is if you got COVID and you sleep with somebody that does not have COVID, then it is possible that they could die. I'm just saying, when we're talking about far-fetched kind of things, that one's not as far-fetched as swimming in the same pool with somebody and killing them.
Police in Wales sent home a couple for attempting to travel to Mount Snowdon to see the sunrise on Christmas Day for allegedly breaching the country's coronavirus restrictions. The couple, who reportedly traveled from a Tier 3 restricted area in order to share a romantic Christmas outing, are facing a court summons, because you got to go to, court, or paying a fixed penalty notice under the coronavirus laws. In a statement, the North Wales Police Conway Valley said this morning the police stopped a car and they were headed two occupants from Tier 3 area of the UK. They informed the officer that they had traveled to North Wales to climb Mount Snowdon to see the sunrise. They were advised accordingly to return home after being reported for summons by the officers for breaching coronavirus Wales legislation.
Darlene was asking, Darlene, I put it in the chat. You just didn't see it. She wants me to respell the Q search term again, just in case somebody needs to know. It's QUERCETIN.
So if they had stayed in their car and didn't meet or interact with anyone, what is the harm of it? The government is allowing people to fly in from other countries and spread the virus. But people in our own country can't just get in their car for a drive. God forbid they come within 6 feet of a sheep. I want to tell you guys, it's time to use your common sense.
It's not so common anymore.
It's time for you to think things clearly. Okay? I have a meme up with somebody on the beach where the officer comes up to one person sitting on the beach and says, "This is not safe here. Go to Walmart."
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's not safe on the beach. Go to Walmart.
Go to Walmart.
You guys don't have Walmarts over there, but I'm sure you have something. I don't know how big your Teslas are, or not. What is it? Tesco. Tesla's a car. But our Walmarts are pretty big and they get crowded, and it's totally safe and fine as long as you're wearing a mask to be in there.
Now, I don't want to scare you because this is not what is going to happen, but you need to know what they have planned, because God is going to come in, and God is coming in, and He is. How many people now are like on the bandwagon? Wait a minute. How many people do know about the Great Reset? Because they're going around the media. I had a friend of mine text me, and she's like, "Leah, you know, a lot of people just don't know." And I said to her, actually, because there are a lot of Christians who are still reading the New York Times. And I said, well, actually, here in America, people have gone around the mainstream media, people who feel things in their spirit. If people are still reading the New York Times, it's because their knower has been seared. Like the inside of their gut, their humanity has been the switch. Not that it can't be turned back on, but their touch with humanity has been turned off, and their speaker to what I would call the God radio waves that are around, that's just been turned off. Now God can turn it back on. I think a lot of people are going to wake up. I said it's going to feel like a bucket of cold ice water in the morning. It's going to be that kind of wake up call for a lot of people, right?
Like that kind of wake up call.
But, you know, we're running into people all the time who, when Fox News started to go off the rails, oh, I'm watching Newsmax. I'm watching, One American News. I'm finding my news other places. I'm reading it here. I'm watching you
People
guys.
are telling me that right and left.
Yeah. And so people, because you go where your spirit feels alive. You go where your and death comes from the New York Times. It is a spirit of death. Death comes from the Washington Post. It's a spirit of anger and fear and death, right?
I'm seeking me some.
And so
good
people
news.
they're seeking, and the reason the mainstream media wants you to have their happy stories, like the dog who reunited with their family in the midst of 9 stories of murder and death and mayhem, and Trump is bad.
No. I'm fine with the murder and death and mayhem. That was fine. We all could withstand that. Okay? It's the 10 years to slow the spread. You can't ever see your grandma again. She's going to die. You're going to be the one that kills her. You know, you are out of business and we don't care.
The CDC,
like
in Ohio,
you have to
or the Ohio Department of Health,
yourself, and you can't breathe regular oxygen.
Yeah.
It's never going back. We're always going to wear masks.
Right.
It's that kind of stuff we have problems
on my
with.
Twitter feed. The Ohio Department of Health keeps saying, celebrate small. You don't want to be responsible for someone dying, basically. Okay, but here, the Great Reset is real. Okay?
Right.
It's happening right now and will lead to devastation much worse than the Weimar Republic, a German economist has warned. Dr. Anthony Mueller, a professor of economics at the Federal University in Brazil, says that the Chinese coronavirus pandemic is being used as a cover by the globalist elite to destroy small businesses and hasten in a new world order based on this climate religion expert atrocity. It's basically where I guess where experts rule. And this brutal depopulation, this globalist elite inspired by the World Economic Forum's Build Back Better. I'm telling you this not to make you afraid, but to recognize the strings. We showed you Boris Johnson had to build back better.
Yep.
He's in on it. We showed you how Australia and especially New Zealand has build back better. We showed you how Joe Biden's theme was build back better. Okay. It's campaign for a fourth industrial revolution and by the United Nations Agenda 2030 are killing Main Street together with thousands of jobs by keeping economies across the Western world in near permanent lockdown. Most people have not noticed yet because at the moment governments can afford to keep them subsidized and on welfare payments. But the question is, for how long? We know this money is coming to an end and that it will soon be over. Next, you will see massive unemployment all over Europe and one country pulls down another country. The coming economic crisis will be worse than any the world has seen before because all the countries in the Western world will become impoverished simultaneously and be unable to help one another. We are seeing the destruction of the economy in all Western countries, from the U.S. and Canada to New Zealand and Western Europe. 2020 has been a big catastrophe in the making. It's not just here, but it will be worse, much, much worse than a Weimar. I'm going to turn this around, but I want you to know what their plan is. It was the decline of Germany's Weimar Republic, a period of high unemployment, deprivation, and hyperinflation, which led to the rise of Hitler. Okay, but however bad it might have been, the coming depression is going to be much worse because society is more autonomized and less family oriented and religious. In Weimar, you still had large parts of the population who were religious, which gave them a sense of community and mutual help. They also had strong families. Now from Spain to Ireland, you have single households, which is going to make it much harder for people to survive. The other factor, which is going to make this depression most uniquely horrible, is that because all the small businesses are being methodically and deliberately wiped out by government fiat, there will be nothing to make country life bearable. We know, for example, that Argentina has had economic crashes, but they were always survivable because they were always small businesses. You could get your car repaired, go to the butcher for meat. The bars and cafes stayed open. In this new crash, the bars and cafes will all be closed. This has nothing to do with the virus, says Professor Mueller, and everything to do with government policy. The real pandemic will be the effect of the lockdown. We had a foretaste in 2008. You remember the pictures of lines of people waiting to draw their cash from the bank? This could well happen because you will have a collapse of credit. Unemployment will come. The government will have no funds. It will be a mega inflation or a major contraction. It was not the virus that did this. It was the lockdown. Most people cannot comprehend it because of the dimension explodes everything we are used to. History has many examples where we ask, how could they do this? But they did. One should not bank on having money. People say, oh, I have a pension, but the government won't be able to pay you your pension. Oh, I have some savings, but you won't be able to access your savings account. While Mueller says the prognosis is bleak, his disastrous scenario may not come to fruition if Western economies see sense. The best immediate hope, he says, would be if Donald Trump got reelected. This will end the lockdowns. There will be a strong, quick recovery, and the Europeans will follow. He says he takes no pleasure in warning of disaster. I hope it will not happen. I do not make prophecies. I only see the implications of what is happening now with the lockdowns and what the future looks like.
You know, this really kind of reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life, in that you get an opportunity. We are at the precipice where people can see for the first time in their lives just what we have in the world, not just in America, what we have and how quickly it can be gone. Plus an added element to that is the desire and the design that these globalists have to end all independence, right? All autonomy. When we read these books like Agenda 21, Glenn Beck's book, and 1984, and so many like that, you have a hard time grasping how they would do it. How would they actually make it happen? And now we're seeing it. It's not actually that hard, but it is. And so I have a message for the globalists who are not watching, but this would be my message if they were. You literally cannot ever succeed with your plan. They might as well quit, but they won't. But they might as well, because if you the spirit that is within someone like you or I to be an entrepreneur and own our own business and not be underneath of the thumb of someone else doesn't go away. I can guarantee you that if our business went completely kaput, right now it's just above kaput, we would be doing something else that we would be independently doing. That we could do within, we would find whatever the niche was, whatever the need was within whatever was happening, and we will meet that. Okay? And so many other entrepreneurs are, fine, you shut down my restaurant, I'm going to do something else. Many people, some will, but many people are not going to go back to the sit down behind the desk, twirling the distaff
Right.
type job.
Right.
So you can't win this game.
Yeah.
Because unless we do that, unless we all give up and do that,
Yeah.
they don't win, and their plan will not and cannot succeed. So all of our hopes are not pinned on Donald Trump becoming president, even though he will. And I don't have to say that he won from widespread fraud just to say he will become president at this for the next 4 years. That's going to happen. But our hopes are not hinged on that. We as people, just humans, I don't need to say Americans, I don't need to say Western, I'm just saying humans. It is within us to have life and be our own man. You cannot enslave us.
Yeah.
You can't enslave us all.
I love that. And so with that, I want you guys to be encouraged. Part of me, I want them to see it fall apart. But it's not going to happen.
Right.
I want them to see and have that is a wonderful life experience. I want them to experience it and feel it deep inside their bones. But remember, even in the movie, Jimmy Stewart was the only one who experienced the life without Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Right? And I want the people who are pushing this, who are blind to it, to experience it and then to come back and say, wow, you were right. I don't want that. And that's my only caveat in all this. I'm like, God, but they got to see what it could have been and what they were planning on.
Which is what I believe 2020 was intended for. God allowed it to happen so that we could see. And I think that's also in part why God allowed them to be claiming Joe Biden as president-elect.
But they haven't seen it. And
Right.
the people we know who voted for Joe Biden, they don't know what it's going to be like.
No, not those people.
That's who I want to see.
Okay, right.
I want them to see it
Yeah.
and feel it. We, people who vote or who voted for Joe Biden, I want them, and who vote and side with I want them to see and feel it, what it would be like.
Well, but here's the thing. What we're seeing in what God is doing here is how I keep seeing myself with that biblical thing with Sidney Powell in my video. I was like, biblical. Remember that big word, biblical. Mm-hmm. What we are seeing God doing, and the scriptures that God keeps giving us, is it's gonna get real serious for those people.
Right. Yeah.
And we who did not drink the Kool-Aid, those who chose the side of right. Remember how we keep saying that God has drawn a line in the sand?
Yeah.
You got to choose sides. He's removing the fence. You can't be on the fence.
Right.
And those that are, they're going to see something else that's worse than that, but they will see, they're going to, Leah. That's the answer. The answer is that they are going to, and we are not. We don't all have to collectively feel what you're talking about for those people to see justice and see the error of their ways. When you have a Beth Moore that has come out and she is so blatantly wrong, and not just, it's fine for her to be wrong internally, but because the Bible says when you are in a position of authority and you lead others astray, your punishment is far worse.
Yeah.
She should have just kept her mouth shut.
Yeah.
Because what she's going to go through is going to be worse than those who she led astray by what she said. They are going to feel it.
Yeah.
And
right.
we will not.
Poland to pass a law protecting online free speech against big tech censorship. Go Poland! Poland's national conservative government has detailed a new law protecting free speech online against big tech censorship. Backed by a new court and big fines. Minister of Justice, I'm not going to pronounce his name, has announced the draft act for the freedom to express one's views and obtain and disseminate information on the internet.
Wow.
To obtain and disseminate information.
love
I
it.
have so much
So
information
good.
that I want to share with people. It would blow people's minds. It would set people free. It would bring healing. It would literally save lives. Okay? The hydroxychloroquine thing
Yes.
would save lives. If that got out there, lives would be saved. We need the free ability to do this. And in Poland, this is awesome.
They're leading the charge, and they will
Yeah.
be blessed because of that.
Amen. Praise you, Jesus. Bless Poland for this. Rise them up as a great nation.
Rise
We'll
up.
give social media users a statutory right to appeal bans and content removals on social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, which they will be able to escalate to a new court for the protection of freedom of speech in a streamlined all-digital process.
Which cracks me up because I'm really fascinated.
Why can't we do this?
Well, I'm fascinated that they are seeing the censorship even in Poland,
Poland.
that they have to do this because
Yeah.
Poland is the baddest in for freedom.
If the new court rules that the tech censors have removed accounts or deleted posts for speech that is legal under Polish law, they must be restored.
Woo!
Or the social media firms involved will face fines such as 1.8 million euros.
Hang on, oh my gosh, it just hit me. This is how Poland is going to finance their ability to Polexit.
That's
All these
awesome.
fines from the tech giants.
Enforced by the Slavic country's Office of Electronic Communications. In Germany, the Minister of Justice may arbitrarily decide what content needs to be eliminated from the internet. This is the introduction of censorship. We want to balance the freedom of public debate. Bro explained of the planned legislation recently. We want to regulate the relationship between social media users and their owners. It is primarily about censorship when expressing opinions that are consistent with Polish law. So it should be in America, I can say hydroxychloroquine works. So I should be able to go and that post should be allowed to stay up,
Yeah.
right? Many on the right in the United Kingdom and the United States have suggested that while they are not happy with what Zero Bro has described as ideological censorship by tech giants, they prefer the status quo to government getting involved. From the Polish government's perspective, however, such a so-called interference is a constitutional duty. The Constitution guarantees full freedom of expression.
This is exactly the opposite of 230 here in the United States, where they are immune from fines. The big tech giants are immune from fines or being sued
Based on what
people post on their platforms. So this is literally taking that threat of you are going to be fined if you censor what someone is saying. And we're the ones that have the freedom of speech here in the United States. Did we invent that?
The Constitution guarantees
think we
full
did.
freedom of expression. Therefore, any manifestations of limiting it must meet with the reaction of the state to enable protection against interference with this freedom. This is what we call common sense. And why our lawmakers haven't been able to step in and say, no, we need to be able to be free. We are going to enforce our Constitution.
Well,
Okay.
But we do know why they haven't done it. They're bought
The
off.
left tries to define any fundamental criticism of its views or ideology as hate speech, and then expects such content to be censored or even punished. The left is trying to consistently implement its own anti-democratic aspirations. This law is a response to what they are trying to impose on us as legal norms. That is, forcing us to censor with political correctness and refrain from expressing one's opinions. Go Poland.
Go Poland.
This is the coolest thing I have seen in a very long time. I am so excited. Poland is leading the charge, and I pray God blesses them and rises them up.
That's why we had to wear red today.
Well, you know what Poland also did? So Macron shut down the passageway, this Macron blockade right at Christmas. All these trucks, thousands of lorries stuck. People had to rush in, create meals for these people. Well, Poland sent some medics to Britain to help
No
drivers
way.
stranded by Macron's blockade at Christmas.
Wow.
The Polish government sent medics to Britain to administer coronavirus tests to lorry drivers of all nationalities stranded by French President Emmanuel Macron's blockade over Christmas. Personnel from the Slavic country's territorial defense force trudged through the nighttime darkness to give out over 1,000 COVID tests after the French leader said marooned drivers could cross the border if they could prove they were negative for the Chinese virus. The operation was given the code name Zunbach after Second World War flying ace Jan Zunbach, who defended Britain's skies against Germany's Luftwaffe during the Battle of Britain with other free Polish servicemen. The Polish government thanked the medics flown out within just 6 hours of Prime Minister Milwaukee's, I don't know how to say his name, decision to run underage drivers for giving up their Christmas Eve, the most important day in the holiday season for Polish families, marked the traditional 12-dish feast in honor of the 12 apostles to help others. Let's see what this is. What is this 12-dish
feast?
in Poland? Oh, in Poland is centered around a feast that consists of 12 courses, one for each apostle. Eating a bit of each is kind of like a tip of the hat to each saint. Each dish is a combination of classic Polish dishes and some other specially prepared things, which requires the family to sacrifice the bathtub for a few days.
Hang on, because I'm against cooking in the bathtub. I think that's
These
gross.
dishes may vary slightly depending on where you're celebrating in Poland. For this reason, we're gonna go over this. This is fun stuff. We're gonna go over here. No, next. That's nice. Okay. Can we just close that out? Thank you. Okay, so we have 12 dishes and 12 apostles. But let's not forget the main man, Jesus. This is why before the feast kicks off, the family shares the, you want to try to, the Christmas wafer. It is an intimate and potentially awkward, if you don't speak Polish, moment. Each person goes to the others in turn, making a blessing for their happiness in the coming year, breaking off a piece of the other person's wafer and eating it, then sealing the deal with a kiss or 3 on the cheek. Once that formality is out of the way, coronavirus, and the kids have spotted the first star in the sky, the feast can officially begin.
Oh, wow.
Traditionally, bits of hay are spread beneath the tablecloth in observance of Jesus' manger pedigree.
Oh, my gosh.
And an extra place is set at the table in case of a visit from a hungry traveler, baby Jesus himself, or a deceased relative, whoever arrives first. Deceased relative? Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, right? Mm-hmm. Things often kick off with beetroot soup, followed by mushroom soup, which is made from wild mushrooms from the nearby forest. This is sounding awesome. Zurich sour cucumber soup is not uncommon either.
So the Poles know how to find the right mushrooms, because I'm always terrified I'm going to take a trip if I get the wrong mushrooms. I'm not picking mushrooms from our yard. It's not happening.
Abstaining from meat consumption is a notably Catholic observance at various times of year, which is why the centerpiece of the feast is carp, usually served cold. Apparently, seafood isn't recognized as meat by many Catholics. Fish was Jesus' favorite vegetable, you see. The beastly carp is often kept swimming in the bathtub.
Wait a minute!
In the run-up to Wigilia, a tradition which developed during the communist times because of food shortages. You had to buy your live fish several days earlier and keep it alive until the time came to eat it. It's then down to the man of the house to clobber it, to carve it, and to cook it. However, nowadays, enterprising carp salesmen enjoy a roaring trade.
Is it going to get plunked on the head to be killed?
Slaughtering the fish on behalf of those who are not man enough to do the task. So carp salesmen must go around and come to your house.
This article is just...
Aside carp, herring in oil is the other commonly served fish dish in Poland. Next up is the internationally renowned Polish dump. There's the carp in the fish.
Wait a minute, hang on. A bathtub is a fairly shallow bit of water. What is keeping that fish from jumping out? Because as a pet sitter, I have pet sat for fish that jump out of a fish tank, and they're like this
I know this
big.
one, pierogi, the Polish dumpling. While they now come in hundreds of varieties, the Christmas filling is one of the more common traditional varieties, cabbage and forest mushroom. If you're a fan of cabbage, you'll be pleased to know that there's more of that to come. The Christmas cabbage is kind of like sauerkraut, but typically a little sweeter. Then there's cabbage rolls stuffed with minced meat and rice. Nowadays, Poles are more aware of the importance of greens and other vegetables, and so pickles and an assortment of other Polish salads and sides are often featured at the table.
So wait a minute before you finish there, because I'm trying to listen to the other things, but I'm still stuck on the carp. Because, we do a lot of things around here that I think are out of the ordinary and strange. Like, we butcher our own chickens and our own pigs, and we do a lot of things. And I just didn't think that outside of like cannibalism, there was anything in this world that could strike me as like kind of very strange. And I didn't think at all that it was going to come from the Poles. This is a Christmas tradition, and they're going to be plunking this fish with a hammer or a mallet of some sort to kill it.
All right, so then you have dessert. A kuta is a mix of wholemeal wheat grains, poppy seeds, honey, and dried fruits soaked in a small amount of red wine with some extra nuts thrown in. There are 2 cakes, the poppy seed cake and the ginger bread cake with plum jam layers. And towards the end of the proceedings, you'll be handed a dried fruit compote, a drink which supposedly helps speed up digestion. I would like to try that. And also, the more you eat, apparently, the more prosperous you'll be in the coming year. Abstaining from meat consumption, with the exception of seafood, is in... Oh, we talked about that. The meal concludes with a round of belt unbuckling, caroling, singing, and gift unwrapping. After the revelation that during the feast, an angel has laid presents beneath the Christmas tree. St. Nick also gets off duty for Wegalia. Alcoholic abstinence is the Wegalia tradition, most commonly overlooked. However, at midnight, most families head out into the cold to attend Pastorica, or midnight mass. Needless to say, it is one of the biggest feast days of the year, and so now we know about Poland's Christmas.
So they don't drink alcohol for Christmas?
I guess not.
Okay, so all right, now, no. Carrie says, Michelle, seriously, what is the real difference between killing fish in home or going fishing? Hang on. No. I guess I've never killed a fish.
It's just weird to keep it in your bathtub, I think, but I don't know.
Okay, so this is genuine. I'm going to keep in mind, because I got to keep my man card a little bit, that I butcher pigs and chickens, okay? And and turkeys. I've never been fishing. I think I've been fishing when I was a kid, like once. So I guess I'm kind of going to seem real stupid here in a second, but that's all right. I don't mind for entertainment value. You catch the fish with the hook. And then how do you kill it?
They said you got to hit it over the head.
Well, no, I'm just talking about in general fishing.
I've seen people knock a fish in the head.
That's how everybody kills fish?
I've seen a lot of people do it that way. Otherwise, they're flapping all over the place. You don't shoot it.
How do you kill the fish?
I'm thinking to conk it in the head.
So it's not... All right, Carrie, that's where it was losing me a little bit. Okay, about the conking it on the head. If that's how you normally kill fish, and every fisherman, after they catch the fish and take the hook out of its mouth, and then they hit it on the head. I've never seen a fisherman walk around with a hammer. I'm so confused here. I don't understand. What was throwing me off is just beating the fish with the hammer. I feel like there's got to be a better way to do it.
I just wanted to go over this. About 4,000 international truck drivers spent a couple days cooped up.
I need to throw. Hang on. I want to finish this segment. I'm done with the fish thing. All right, I'm over it. I'm done with the fish thing. Everything that you read there is super awesome, and I love the poll. It sounds so traditional, and I love all of the nuances, and that was really, really enjoyable. And I am so glad that we read that segment, and I am apologizing to any of our Polish viewers or anyone that fishes for me getting caught up on the fish. That all sounds amazing. I would actually enjoy participating in that if we ever go to Poland for Christmas.
Yeah, it sounded beautiful.
Sounded great.
Yeah,
and I want to make sure that I'm very clear on that.
But this was not so beautiful. France closed its borders for 48 hours to the UK last Sunday after British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said there was a variant of the virus that had a 70% more transmissible, and it was driving the rapid spread of infections. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy. You're going to keep having this. You have to stop. You have to stop somewhere. Just give everybody hydroxy and an antibiotic. Come on now. And so they kept people for 2 days stuck in these lines, and it was just absolutely insane.
So, though, in all fairness, and there's no fairness here, but just to add an element of, they told them not to come. They said, you will be locked out. You can't come through. Don't even try. And the truck drivers just thought that the border would be opened and in time, and they wanted to get there and get in line. Okay. So it's still all 100,000,000% wrong, but that's an added bit of information. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, our thing. Hang on. Wait. Our speaker died off. Wait. Stop.
Well, they just need to see it.
Whoa. UK. Hundreds of British troops have been deployed to help clear the queues of lorries waiting for the tests.
So insane. And we know that the tests work so well, don't we? Mm-hmm. All right. I want to go over this thread here because this is from Majid. and Louise, a BBC or not BBC, LBC commentator, and my favorite little liberal there in the UK. He's always talking about the CCP. He is a Muslim who is speaking out against the treatment of Uyghurs, and it's very sad. He knows that Biden and Hunter have made these deals with the CCP, and they're not talking about the Uyghurs. They're not talking. They are making money off of dealing with the CCP. So he says he's infuriating because the UK Times came up with an article today that said the specter of Sun's scandals to haunt Joe Biden presidency. And he's like, so he goes on a tyrant. Now you're talking about this, right?
Right.
He goes, this is infuriating. As a group of us raised this when it was needed. He knows that Trump should have been elected, even though he's not a conservative and he's not a fan of Trump. But he hates people who are killing his brothers and sisters,
Right.
okay? Despite universal opposition. And Trump is actually standing up for his brothers and sisters, so that's why he would support Trump, right? Because he actually cares. We were mocked as conspiracies theorists. Now you say it's a story. Biden's Uyghur genocide proximity in China was ignored by the media because Trump bad. Shame on you. Now they will start saying what they mocked, censored, and gaslit us for saying months ago. Emails showed Hunter being thanked for introducing an associate from a Ukrainian energy company bereavement to his father. And I quote from the new article. They even appeared to show Hunter putting aside money from a business deal with China for the big guy, who was allegedly to be his father. It was a story with incendiary potential, yet outside the confines of conservative media, Hunter remained an unexploded bomb. Most media outlets all but ignored it. Social media went even further, with Twitter suspending the New York Post account and blocking access to the story. Many Biden supporters claimed that laptop leak was Russian disinformation. Even Joe Biden said it still is Russian disinformation. Okay, though the veracity of its contents has never been denied. Yet after the election, it was revealed that Hunter is the subject of a Justice Department investigation into potential criminal violations of tax and money laundering laws, and the story is rolling downhill fast with the potential to disrupt Biden's presidency significantly. Never forget those who harassed us, tried to silence us, intimidated us, and even questioned our sanity for insisting this was a story. By doing so, you tried to ruin the credibility of those who place opposing genocide proximity over tribalism and blankety-blank politics. Shame on you.
Okay, so here's the thing that we need to add to this.
He's not done.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I thought you were done.
I have it in good mind to call you out one by one here, just as I did during his five-day hunger strike. Some actually called me, insisting that I back down on this. I am furious. Shame on you for showing a total lack of spine while history's most sophisticated genocide takes place in China. You'd better ask your compromised selves what else you've been wrong about while scoffing at and mocking those who were right, because we will not allow you to gaslight, deceive, and pretend any longer. We see you. And there has still not been a single mainstream media newspaper front page on the Uyghur genocide. Never stop asking why. Go ahead.
No, so, and I love that thread, and it's so very well said. What I wish that he would add to that is this. And this is where it all starts to get really interesting. If I am building something, let's say from IKEA. All right, you ever put something together from IKEA or any kind of piece of furniture? There's all these pieces laying around, okay? They have the Hunter Biden piece, and it's not that they're ignoring it. It's not that they're saying we don't want that. They're saying we're not at step 10. Hunter Biden and the release of that story is all part of our plan and the design for this piece of furniture that we're putting together. Okay? It's just not time for us to use it. So no, they are not ignoring the Hunter Biden story, or they were not ignoring it. It was not in their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20 steps for global takeover. Releasing the Hunter Biden story is at like step 10, where we're at right now. Now we start releasing the story because we're going to have to take Joe Biden out. We need him to get installed as president on January 20th. And then we lay really hard on the Hunter Biden story, so that then Kamala Harris will become president, and we throw Joe Biden and Hunter Biden under the bus. It's all by design. It's all purposeful. They know that they are going to use this story. And I guarantee you, they're gathering their information. They're even writing their stories right now. And they probably have been for the past 3 months, but they're writing them with the lens and the guise of this now needs to happen. And we did miss it and we were wrong, but thank God we have Kamala.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to try to phrase this, or in their minds they're going to try to, but we all know that come January 20th, it's not going to happen their way anyway.
Back outside the
So, how long is this video? It's Fox can't play the whole thing. I absolutely love this. This is a clip from a woman in Ireland. After many months, this multi-award-winning journalist got a response to Freedom of Information requests asking for proof that COVID virus exists. Today, they were forced to admit that the COVID-19 virus does not exist.
We requested in October, and in fact earlier than October, because as part of our legal action, we had been demanding the evidence that this virus actually exists, but also in our court case, we had been demanding and have been, and they have not produced it yet, evidence that lockdowns actually have any impact on the spread or otherwise of viruses. We have been demanding that they provide evidence that face masks are safe and that they do deter the spread of viruses. They don't. No such studies exist. We've been asking for evidence that social distancing is based in science. It isn't. It's made up. We've been asking for evidence that contact tracing has any bearing on the spread of a virus or otherwise. And of course it doesn't, because this organization here, NEFIT, is making it up as they go along. But today, they were forced to admit that the COVID-19 virus does not exist.
That's really strange, though, to me. I don't understand how the article or how whatever their proof is proving that the virus doesn't exist, because
I don't exactly know. You can go to Systems of Consciousness. It's on BitChute.
This letter here from the HSE, which is
in Ireland,
proof of the answer that we knew that they would have to give, and that is that the virus, COVID-19, does not exist. If we dictate that, as science demands that we do, that viruses, in order to be deemed viruses, must be scientifically isolated in a laboratory and must adhere to the Cox postulates, which are a very stringent list of requirements in order to validate that a virus exists. Well, this virus does not adhere.
I understand
to
what she's saying. That makes sense.
So we requested in October, and in fact earlier than October, because as part of our legal action, we had been demanding the evidence that this virus actually exists, but also in our court case, we had been demanding and have been, and they have not produced it yet, evidence that lockdowns actually have any impact on the spread or otherwise of viruses. We have been demanding that they provide evidence that face masks are safe and that they do deter the spread of viruses. They don't. No such studies exist. We've been asking for evidence that's
No, that's good.
a full, accurate and complete list of records held by the HSE or under the authority of the HSE, which describe the isolation of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, coronavirus COVID-19, taken directly from a symptomatic patient with COVID-19, where the sample was not combined, and this is critical, or mixed with any other source of genetic material, such as, for example, monkey kidney cells or cancer cells, thereby eliminating contamination as a possible source, alternative source of sampling. The response today is as follows from the HSE. Following consultation with my colleagues, both from the scientific and medical areas of the HPSC can confirm that we would hold no records in relation to your request. These are the reasonable steps I have taken to ascertain the whereabouts of existence of such records, and unfortunately I must inform you that having undertaken these searches, we were unable to locate the records in question. I am satisfied that all reasonable steps have been taken to locate the records that you have requested, and must refuse therefore your request. And they go on to say that the record concerned does not exist. In fact, they outline it in yellow. This is their highlighting, saying that the record which we requested, that this virus actually exists, does not. They hold no evidence that it does. So there is your proof. Now, on foot of this information, on foot of this critical new evidence, we need to ask several new questions. And they are as follows. If the virus has not been scientifically isolated, how could we possibly know that a vaccine is effective if the virus for this vaccine has not been isolated? If you know about vaccines, you will know that they put a laboratory-made virus into the vaccine in order to provoke an immune reaction in the body. This is, of course, against nature, and nature always bites back. How can we possibly know if this vaccine is safe if the virus has not been isolated? How can anyone claim that a new variant, which is the latest scam that they're pulling upon us, that a new variant or a mutant strain exists if the original strain has never been isolated? How can a vaccine
the original
even
strain
be developed? How can a vaccine even be developed when the virus itself has never been isolated? And how can the effectiveness of a vaccine be determined if the pathogen itself it is designed to treat has not been isolated? How can a reliable test be developed to detect the presence of a particular virus if the virus itself has never been isolated? What proof do we have that a virus known as COVID-19 even exists if the virus has never been isolated? And what guarantee do we have that other spurious viruses will not be announced and held as a serious health threat to our society when the original virus was never isolated? Will these new viruses be equally speculative? And finally, what parent could allow their child to be vaccinated with a new vaccine which has never been tested on animals? A treatment designed to protect against a virus which has never been isolated is highly experimental, and by definition is a very serious risk to health. And we know that many people who have got this vaccine have ended up dead in some cases, and have ended up very unwell. Some of them have been paralyzed. So what is coming out of this organization at the moment is so demented and deranged that if people don't see through it, one really has to question their own mental health. The latest from here is that if you have been in the United Kingdom in recent weeks, they are suggesting that you eat your Christmas dinner on your own in a separate room. This is how demented these people are.
I
They're coming out with the most extraordinary demands. And this is getting incredibly dangerous because we are in the hands of psychopaths at this stage. So we all know that this is all about implementing permanent surveillance of the population. That is what it is about. And it is about nothing more than that. And this surveillance will result in a depopulation agenda which will eliminate a sizable proportion of the population. Of course, first to go will be the mask believers, the vaccine believers. They are the people that will be discarded. And these people don't care about how many people are killed. They're about who is killed. They're just interested in numbers because they want to reduce world population by about, well, in the billions. So they're not interested in who, it's how many. So
That's good.
all of you who are still wearing masks, all of you who are going around saying you can't wait to get this vaccine, you are going to be the people who end up having your DNA radically altered, and many of you will end up getting severe health effects as a result of going down this road. But we can only warn you. We can only warn you. There's no doubt about it that COVID is the new religion. People are committed to it. They won't allow people like me to blaspheme it and to question it or challenge.
Wow.
That's really powerful.
It's a new religion. You're not allowed to blaspheme. And these are the kind of videos that if I get taken down off of YouTube, I went down with a bang.
Yeah.
Because we're all about saving lives. And we're all about eliminating fear. And I always want to go back to, Michelle and I talked about, we were one of the first on board with, while the mainstream...
just that we were
Can I
the
finish my
first on...
sentence?
Yeah.
When the mainstream media was covering up what was happening in China, and Nancy Pelosi was saying, "Go to Chinatown, everything's fine," and Donald Trump closed the borders, and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden called Trump xenophobic, and all these things, and we were bringing you the videos, we were bringing you the numbers. And now I see every day more clearly what happened, what it is. Now, I think that I know that there is a strand of a virus that was let loose because of the symptoms that I'm hearing that are different than other kinds of symptoms.
Oh, for sure.
So I do believe that there is a virus. I do not believe that it can be... we heard from the very beginning there was 8 strands, 12 strands. It was mutated, okay? And we know, I do believe that the doctor who was killed, the whistleblower saying, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure what went down, why this is happening. I don't understand all of it, okay? I don't have all the answers, okay? But there was something that they let go. Okay, there was something that was happening, and people were, but they were killing people with the ventilators, right? People were getting sick in a time that wasn't quite normal, in a way that wasn't quite normal. I had a cough that I've never heard anybody have a cough like I had.
It was awful.
It was, and then all these other YouTubers had the same cough, and it was immediately wiped out by an antibiotic in 24 hours.
Right.
And we're talking about people have been given antibiotics for the flu, and it doesn't work. That's why they say it doesn't work. But people who have this strand are given the hydroxychloroquine. Maybe the hydroxychloroquine is the difference. But they're given hydroxychloroquine and the antibiotics, and it's gone. And I believe that they let something loose, and it spread. But God had a cure for it, already ready, already on the books, already done. And there are things called biological weapons.
Absolutely.
And I believe that the CCP released, with the blessings and maybe the encouragement of
And
the World
funding.
Economic Forum.
And funding. We know that Dr. Fauci had a hand in the funding of the Wuhan
And
virus.
because they knew it wasn't as deadly or as dangerous as they made it out to be.
But it didn't
So
need to be.
the next level was tell people that there will be 2 million deaths. And Dr. Fauci is a wicked, evil, sick, demented man who has had this thing in his mind. Why do you think they did the Agenda 201 last They were ready for this. Down to
was
the
the
toilet
event.
paper.
Event
the event
201.
201. They were ready down to the toilet paper, and how the media. They even said, how will the media control the narrative,
Right.
and how will we get this out to now? Not everybody was on board in the beginning, so that's why we saw the great switch, where the freedom-minded people who were saying, "Hey, there's a thing," are now started to say, "Wait a minute, what's happening here?" Right? And so we know now more, and I don't want you to be afraid of it. What they have done is conditioned fear into your brain. Donald Trump came out in the very beginning. We got this thing. This is hydroxychloroquine. I hear it really works. I hear this thing works. And everybody was like, they were screaming demons. No, there can't be a cure. No, there can't be a cure. Don't try anything.
Because it all was supposed to lead to the fast tracking of a vaccine.
And so it's the vaccine that is
It had
the
nothing to
real
do with the virus.
Right. And so you have Tony Blair coming out saying that he wants, he's in on this, radical acceleration of vaccines, introduction of health passports, globalist, left-wing, part of the World Economic Forum, part of the Davos group. They want this done by the end of January. And I just saw a video of a nurse who was crying in tears because her face, she has Bell's palsy, and she's just given the vaccine. We showed you the video of the woman getting the vaccine, then she passed out. Mm-hmm. You're guinea pigs. If you take this vaccine, you guys are probably, none of you are going to take this vaccine because you don't want to be a guinea pig. But I want to throw this out because they had a plan, and I don't think it's going to go further. They're trying to use Donald Trump to get the vaccine out. This is an angle I don't quite understand. I'm open for suggestions. Donald Trump pushing the vaccine. I don't think he sees it as anything negative. I think he just sees it as a businessman saying, "We want to be the best." So I don't know where I don't know where the vaccine thing is going to go.
I know that a lot of people love to put him up as some sort of like omnipotent God, mm-hmm. who sees everything, who knows everything, who cannot be duped by anything. All right. None of that is true. He's a man. He's a man that has been put in place for this time, for this hour, and God is going to and has been using him as exactly as God sees fit. Mm-hmm. And so if God wanted Donald Trump to have blinders on to allow this vaccine to get this far, so that all this could be exposed, well, then that's what happened, right? But we do know that this vaccine is not the savior that they are making it out to be. As a matter of fact, it is the wolf in the story of the three little pigs.
Honestly, I think God is going to protect people. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I really think he is. So we're going to switch gears here. We do our European news on Sundays, but everybody is what's going on in the United States. So quick overview. This week, Rudy Giuliani had a video, and he said Christmas is not canceled. And he says that starting after Christmas, the challenge to the validity of the November 3rd presidential election results is really going to blow up. That was his Christmas Day episode of his podcast, Common Sense. It's 37 minutes long, so you can watch the whole thing if you want.
Welcome back to Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense, where at a very, very important time of the year, for many reasons, the most ancient of which, and the most important of which is, we're approaching the birth of Jesus Christ, Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. Well, I'd love to read the whole thing, and maybe we'll do a separate one. I used to do it every year for the children of Mother Hale, and it was one of my favorite things to do as mayor. But this is the night before Christmas. And all through the house, things are stirring. They're not mice, they're rats. All kinds of rats are stirring here in Washington, which is where I am. And we know what's going on. We've got a country that is deeply divided, It's been deeply divided for quite some time. And now that deep division has become a deep division over who won, honestly, the 2020 presidential election. Is it Biden, who claims to have the numbers, who has the media repeating it over and over again, calling him as the winner prematurely, insisting that he's the winner, and refusing to publish any information to the contrary, literally engaging in a censorship unheard of in American history that actually began during the campaign with the censorship of the hard drive of Hunter Biden. Now it's time to take a short break.
Oh, he has these little
my
commercials
gosh,
throughout.
he's so
But this
funny.
was actually one of the best episodes. You should go watch it. He talks about Jesus. He talks about how we got to rely on him. He's the light of the world. It's so powerful. But he says this. Because after Christmas, the challenge to the validity of November 3rd is really going to start to blow up. So I'm guessing this week is just going to be crazy because they've got everything. They had to put everything in place for the 6th. So because the evidence that these crooked television networks, newspapers, big tech, and leadership of the Democrat Party have been giving you is false, and you're going to find it all out at once. And like I told you, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be like, you can
Ice
wake
water.
up naturally, okay? Or you could have ice water in the morning.
Yeah.
It's going to be very shocking to the country. Giuliani's grave warning follows on the heels of another setback to the president's ongoing legal challenges. But he said that some crazy stuff is going to come out. Speaking of allergic reactions, this doctor...
So we're back on coronavirus.
We're going back and forth.
Welcome back. Well, there's some troubling news out of Boston as we are learning that a doctor has experienced a severe allergic reaction to the Moderna vaccine. The doctor, who has an allergy to shellfish, needed to use his EpiPen to stop the breakout. This is the first known case of a reaction from the Moderna vaccine, joining 6 reported allergic reactions to the Pfizer vaccine. Here now to discuss is someone who has received the COVID vaccine herself, Dr. Kanta Ahmed, pulmonologist at NYU Langone. Dr. Ahmed, I know you received the Pfizer vaccine. We just mentioned that the doctor who had a severe allergic reaction to the Moderna vaccine had a shellfish allergy. What does this tell us that we might be able to apply wider? Is this cause for concern for anyone else out there watching?
So this is not anything unexpected.
Not anything unexpected? Really? People could just die from this, but it's not unexpected.
So here's the thing that gets me, though, right? I understand that when you fast track something, there's going to be a couple of balls that are dropped and a couple of things that are going to be overlooked. But if this vaccine is made with things from shellfish, or let's say maybe on a Planters peanut factory line or something, anything where people can be allergic to it, possibly... Don't you think that there should be a screener, a questionnaire? Are you allergic to any of these ingredients that are within this? We're not talking about obscure stuff, okay? Shellfish? Really? A lot of people are deathly allergic to that. If they had used venom from a bee or a wasp,
I don't
or something,
even think it's that. It's people who do have severe allergic reactions to anything. So it's people who get allergies.
I see.
So okay. Think
Do
about
you have allergic reactions at all?
Think about COVID-19. What is COVID-19? It attacks your immune system.
Yeah.
What is an allergy? It attacks your immune system. What does hydroxychloroquine do? It's an anti-allergen. So you're putting in your body
Well, what it does,
an allergen.
not that it
something
matters,
that
but
makes
just so
your,
people can understand
so
it.
people who get allergies, it's worse for people who have severe allergies.
Right, and I don't care, I'm not a scientist, but for people to understand, actually, when you have an allergic reaction, your immunosystem is actually going into hyperdrive. So
Exactly.
what we need to do is stop that hyperdrive reaction. When you have an allergic reaction to something, your body is saying, wait, here we come, we have to fix it. That's your immune system going haywire, hard, sending everything that it has and messing things up. And that's what COVID does.
Tennessee, and my name is Kalila Mitchell. I'm reaching out to everyone about the COVID-19 vaccination. I recently took the COVID-19 vaccination. After the shot, I felt fine. but within 3 days, I went to the doctor because I had problems with my face. The whole left side of my face, actually.
I can't see it.
I have Bell palsy now. And as you can see, I can't smile. I'm trying to smile.
It's hard to see on the screen anyways. There you go.
But I just want everyone to know that I think this vaccination is the worst thing ever. And I would not give this to anybody, even my worst enemy.
Wow.
Please, America, they do not care about us. Do not take this vaccination.
Wow.
Now, I've heard some people say, I don't want COVID. Bell palsy is reversible. I'll take the vaccine.
You're kidding.
No. Yeah. So that went viral. You can see her video went around. Yeah. Just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Let's see. Where are we? A couple more things here. So just some encouraging words here. Lauren Boebert, who is going to stand up for Trump on January 6th. We need the people to put pressure on Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan state legislators to rescind their certifications. Then we need the people to put pressure on their senators and congressmen to object on the 6th.
She's the one that took on
Beto
O'Rourke about the Second Amendment. And then she ran for Congress.
And she won. Yeah. So I heard Senator Toomey say that real Donald Trump should concede as there is no fraud. He must be as corrupt as was the election. For any Pennsylvania official to certify their vote, it's malfeasance and criminal. Over 600,000 mail-in votes were counted without a single Republican viewing and verifying the ballots. Secretary of State election results removed from the internet. Primary, 1.9 million mail-in votes sent out, 2.4 mail-in votes counted. Mail-in ballots returned 1.4 million. Mail-in ballots not returned 306,000. Mail-in ballots returned before the mail date, 22,000. Mail ballots returned the same day they were mailed, 32,000. Mail ballots processed for confirmed dead people, 8,000. Mail ballots mailed before they were requested, 4,800. Mail ballots processed before they were even requested, 735. It's now or never. We have a group of patriots who got together to talk about the lockdowns. There's a few curse words, not really bad ones, but just heads up.
Anybody who's in the restaurant industry, for just a minute, I'm part of that industry. I'm part of the restaurant industry too, for any of you that are in it. And I just want to say one thing that's very important. Everybody in here has to understand. Probably every other minute, guys. Probably everybody else with any business. We've been used to living very well, like Marie said. Very free, enjoyed our lives. Got to stop thinking like a victim criminal mentality. As the victim, I'll just do whatever the criminal tells me to do. They'll let me go when I'm done. They don't want to let us go. They want complete freaking control of us. They don't want us going back to normality. So this is the time we got to stand up. Every freaking business has got to stand up and put these sons of bitches down. Amen. Because if we don't, they're taking us out. That's right. I'm 60 freaking years old. I've lived all my life as an American. That's right. And Robbie's right. This isn't about Democrat or Republican. This is about American. That's right. And I am not ready to give my country up to these people so that they can ruin my life, everybody's life in here. We got to stop them. We got to grow this group. Like Marie said, here, state, country, global. We got to really do this. This is the time to be serious. If we're not serious now, and it ain't going to take them long, you're looking at 6-8 months. This coming summer could be an absolute freaking disaster for freedom, for patriots, for this country. We got to do this now. Every day has to be serious. Forget about looking forward to next Christmas with your family, next Thanksgiving with your family. It ain't going to happen if we don't stop them now, this year. Here. So that's it. Just keep going. Take this serious. Take this freaking serious. I want to finish my life owning my business. I said to Kelly this morning, all I want is my life back. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for fortune. I want to mow my lawn on a sunny Saturday morning again like I used to, and not worry about who the hell's coming to try to bomb my house, take it from me, and ruin my life. We gotta keep together. We gotta grow. Get the word out there. I'm not giving up. So neither should anybody here. I don't think you will. Amen.
And what he's saying there is the exact same thing that we're saying about the election. If we don't fix this now, it's never. It's now or never.
So that's, yeah.
As empires come and go,
General Flynn.
nation states fail. So this experiment, is this experiment waxing? Are we still growing as the beacon of hope for the rest of the world? I still believe that in my heart, but I know that there is a dimension of our experiment that is sort of in our face right now. And the American public have to decide. Again, sort of we the people, the American public, have to decide what is it that they want. And because we will not last forever. You know, as we get through this election, particularly this election, which is a crucible moment in our history, unprecedented, never happened before. And it's an embarrassment to me as an American citizen, never mind somebody who served in our highest levels of our government, to the rest of the world, because of what we have done for others around the world, and we can't even get our own damn elections correct. But moving forward, we have to have a reconciliation between the government and we the people and the people of this country. The American people give us everything. When you're talking about government, we don't exist without the American people. But we have to remind ourselves that we work for the American people. We don't work for the institution. And that idea has, to me, has been lost.
That's so good.
General Flynn. Chalk talk here.
Skepticism abounds.
Whoa,
November
here, just
3rd
turn it
election
down
results as reported in America right now. That phenomenon of growing cynicism, despite the fact that corporate media legacy outlets are doing their very best to ignore the entire story, even substantiated examples of voter fraud or at the least voter irregularities, despite also the best efforts of big tech to censor and suppress this story. The word is slowly but surely getting out. That's not my opinion. Let's look at the numbers. Rasmussen poll just released. It was taken just before Christmas and released almost half of all Americans, and this is not Trump voters now, this is all voters. 47% believe that the Democrats stole and or destroyed ballots to allegedly win for Biden on November 3rd. It is imperative for our democracy, for our republic, that we fully investigate these results and that we count only legal ballots.
Okay, so I am going to give you guys a little heads up into something, into a scenario that Jenna Ellis, Trump's head legal advisor, tweeted out and said, interesting. Anything can happen. Anything's up in the air. Do I believe that Mike Pence is going to come in as some sort of superhero with a super cape and do this?
He doesn't strike me as the type, but nothing is impossible.
With the Supreme Court being crazy, I have no idea. But Jenna Ellis tweeted this out as a legal constitutional remedy, which I thought the Insurrection Act would be less controversial than this. However, this is just for your viewing pleasure. Why did not Leah and Michelle tell me this could be a possibility, and then it happens? All right.
We're telling you every possibility.
January 6th is going to be lit. If you can get to Washington, D.C., go. We are going to be covering it here live for you. But we joke only because
I would want to be there, yeah, for sure.
Donald Trump is going to be inaugurating January 21st. We're going to be there. We're not going to be there. Do we cover it here? But we'll be there somehow. It'll be cold. Maybe it'll be a warm day. January 6th, a joint session of Congress. Oh, let me show you guys a little... let me see for that. Let me show you a couple more things real quick. The Chief, the Thief, that was hilarious. Here. Patriots meet at Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C. for the Rally to Save America on January 6th. This is when the Electoral College votes are opened up and counted by the President of the Senate, which is the Vice President, Mike Pence. Faith, family, freedom on the line. Wednesday, January 6th. This is one of the best memes going around. When you win a record low 17% of counties, lose Black and Hispanic support, lose 18 of 19 bellwether counties, lose Ohio, lose Florida and Iowa, you lose 27 of 27 House toss-ups, but you shatter the popular vote record. Okay, this is all I need to know. This is all I need to know, because here's the thing. When a president wins I honestly, I have to tell you guys something. My brain worked backwards for a second, okay? Because I was like, well, if Trump won, because he did win, you know, a lot of times you gain a bunch of seats and you flip the House to be Republican, right? And so I was like going like this with my head being tilted. But the point is this: the Democrats didn't flip one. If Biden had won, he would have had to flip more seats. He should have his House majority should have been this super majority. Mm-hmm. But the Republicans stole back most that they stole in 2018.
Yeah.
Okay?
Everything that was up for grabs, the Republicans grabbed it.
And how do we not know? Because of all the fake votes.
The thing that gets me the most is the counties. Trump at 2,500 counties and Biden at not even 500.
And Obama won, had to have 873 to win. But here's the thing. Obama had to have 873 to get 69 million votes. How did Biden, with populations not increasing, get 81 with only half the counties?
And he only got one out of all the 19 bellwethers, when Obama got 18 out of 19 of the bellwether counties, and so did Trump.
When you get 18 out of 19 bellwether counties, you win. Okay? Obama won Florida, Ohio, and Iowa. If you win all three of those and you win the bellwether counties, right, and all these House seats, all the toss-ups. So that's the most important. Dreg Kelly, have you heard about the hashtag the swamp Republicans are pushing? Restore our GOP. Restore what exactly? Endless, pointless wars that they didn't bother to try to win, getting owned by China, looking the other way, wimps like Mitt Romney.
Drug abuse.
Drug abuse. The GOP is over. That GOP is over. I'm going to play that real quick here in a second. Philip Klein, who is the former Attorney General of Kansas. He's the Amistad Project. We released a super appendix today. It's attached to the litigation recently filed in the U.S. District Court of District of Columbia. The lawsuit seeks to prevent Congress from tallying electoral votes until the legislators of each state have had a chance to independently certify the results as required by the Constitution. Trump has been tweeting out Mark Finkham. Thank you. And he says, Patriot recharge. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
Trump
Joshua
tweeted that out?
9.
Retweeted that?
I believe so. He's been reading. He has been tweeting out Mark Finkham a lot lately. Yeah. Georgia, your votes were stolen. He tweeted that out
again, and I haven't said it. This would have been a good show for the atheists and agnostics, because I haven't thrown a lot of God in here. But
yeah,
seriously,
he
guys,
tweeted that out. Thank you, Mark. Big numbers found in Arizona. We must win for our country.
So Trump is retweeting a man of God that is essentially sending out a massive blowhorn of scripture. We're standing on God alone. And guys, I have to tell you, when you do that, you do not lose. And especially when this nation that was birthed and founded on godly principles gets together and starts doing that, it's no contest. We win every single time. Barry in the UK says, Michelle, what is going to happen to Trump? Is he still going to retain the presidency, or will Biden take the Oval Office? I don't know why you need to ask that question, but I love that you're bringing it up for me to give me a chance to say once again that I don't know what is going to happen between now and January 20th. But I do know it's going to be huge. I do know that it's going to be earth-shattering.
Yeah.
And I do know that the rightful winner of the 2020 election on November 3rd will be taking office.
Okay, here is our onside kick. 2 minutes left. I don't know. Okay, so January 26th is a joint session, which means the Senate and the House meets together.
January 6th.
January 6th, sorry.
You said 26th.
January 6th. And Vice President Mike Pence will be presiding over as the president of the Senate. It's in the Constitution. His power is plenary, and unappealable. What he says goes. You heard that right. As president of the Senate, every objection comes directly to him about these, and there have been several objections throughout history about electoral votes, okay? And he can rule any objection out of order or denied. Any of them. His task will be to fulfill his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and to ensure that the laws to be faithfully executed. This is a high standard of performance, and VP Pence will have two choices. He can roll over on the certified electors, or he can uphold the law. Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution gives state legislatures plenary authority as enunciated in Bush versus Gore. This is key, since the counting of the votes is discussed in Article 2, the 12th Amendment, and 3 U.S.C. 15. To this, we must add the history of counting and objections recounted by Alexander Marcus. And you can read more there. Put bluntly, it's clear as mud. Add to that the fact that the contested states of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, New Mexico, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin have sent dueling slates of electors to D.C. This means that the vice president has to decide how he will handle the situation when two sealed envelopes are handed to him from any of those states. Marcus points out that in 1800, even with constitutional deficiencies in Georgia, Thomas Jefferson blithely counted defective electoral votes from Georgia, effectively making himself president. This demonstrates that the president of the Senate is the final authority of any motions or objections during the vote counting. There is no appeal. This doesn't mean there won't be any outrage. Whatever Pence does, people will be angry, but what does the law demand? And I'll tell you a little bit more about what happened with Thomas Jefferson. I did not know this. And now I'm a little bit like, Thomas, that was not good. Okay. So 7 contested states clearly violated their own laws. Rather than list the facts, which have been detailed in multiple articles, let's consider the following. An election is a process of counting votes for candidate. Only valid, lawful votes may be counted. A valid, lawful vote is cast by an eligible, properly registered elector as prescribed by laws enacted by state legislature, cast in a timely manner as prescribed by laws enacted by the state legislature, cast in a proper form as prescribed by laws enacted by the state legislatures. Any process that does not follow these rules is not an election. Anything that proceeds from it cannot be regarded as having any lawful import. Most commentators suggest that a process of collecting pieces of paper with marks on them is an election regardless of errors, omissions, and even deliberate malfeasance. This is a mistake. Imagine a golf tournament where every bad shot by one player gets a do-over, but the competing player has to follow the USGA rules in detail. One player gets to drop freely out of hazards, the other has to tackle every embedded ball as it lies. The result is a travesty. The same thing applies to elections. If there are a handful of improper votes, we can suggest that there was in fact an election, perhaps tainted, but the election wasn't materially harmed. But when the people charged with managing the election decide to ignore the law, whatever process they supervise is not the process defined by the law. Therefore, it's not an election. This leaves VP Pence with a dilemma. He is a gentleman who regards our governmental traditions with a degree of reverence, so he will be reluctant to take any bold action. But as an honorable man faced with massive illegality, he must act to protect the law. Consider how things might go down as the 2 closed envelopes from Georgia are handed to the VP. Rather than opening them, he could say this. In my hand are envelopes purporting to contain electoral votes from Georgia. They are competing for consideration, so it is essential that I consider the law that governs this. That law, according to the legislature of Georgia, Article 2, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution, is the Georgia statute that includes procedures for signature matching on absentee ballots. A requirement that all absentee ballots be first requested by a legitimate voter, and that election monitors be meaningfully present at all times while votes were counted. The Georgia Secretary of State, who is not empowered by the U.S. Constitution to make changes to election law, entered into a consent decree and gutted these protections enacted by the Georgia legislature. The process that he prescribed and were ultimately followed were manifestly contrary to that law. Further, the slate of Georgia, an unprecedented concert with other states, suspended counting of ballots in the middle of the night, covering its conspiracy with a false claim of a water main break. We now know from surveillance video that many thousands of ballots were counted unlawfully in the absence of legally required observers. Finally, the state of Georgia, under the authority of the Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, a non-legislative actor, used fatally flawed Dominion voting machines that have been demonstrated to be unreliable. In testing, the error rate of Dominion machines has exceeded 60%. far in excess of legal limits. They are designed to facilitate fraud without creating the legally required paper trail. This alone is far more than enough to swing an election. Since the slate of Georgia has failed to follow the election law established in its legislature under Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, it has not conducted a presidential election. Therefore, no presidential electors were appointed in Georgia. Further, electors certified by non-legislative actors pursuant to this process are in fact not presidential electors. The competing slate of electors is similarly deficient, having not been elected through a presidential election. Therefore, the chair rules that Georgia has not transmitted the votes of any presidential electors to this body. Georgia presents 0 votes for Donald Trump and 0 votes for Joseph Biden. The central point is that the VP, as the presiding officer and final authority, has the unquestionable authority to declare that the states in question have not conducted presidential elections. There will be wailing and gnashing of teeth, but no one has the authority to override this decision. The statement says nothing about who might or might not have won the contested states. Rather, by not following their own laws as enacted by their own legislatures, they have violated Article 2, Section 1. Thus, they have not conducted an election and the results are void. If the votes of all 7 contested states are registered as 0, President Trump will have 332 votes and Joe Biden will have 222. The 12th Amendment says, the votes shall then be counted and the person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president. In plain language, Donald Trump will be reelected, since he has a majority of the actual electoral votes. There will be no need to involve the House of Representatives to resolve a contingent election. Richard Nixon chose not to contest the 1960 election because he felt that winning that way would have led to an ungovernable country. If VP Pence does this, that same argument might be made. But is the country governable even now? Blue states such as California, Oregon, Washington, New York, New Jersey, and Michigan are already operating in an openly lawless manner with their emergency COVID relations restrictions. Their denial of the civil rights of law-abiding citizens is horrific. Their refusal to do basic policing and law enforcement is a recipe for open war. How much worse would things be if the VP lived up to his oath and upheld the law?
Wow, 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 wow. That would be earth-shattering, like we just mentioned. That definitely would qualify as earth-shattering. Here's the deal. You know, just to play along with that
scenario. Yeah,
that hypothetical scenario there. People make deals in Washington. Okay? And there are I don't know, about 6 or 7 people that I would vote for as president in 2024, hands down, easy. Would love to see them be our president. We don't know who the front runner is going to be. If I was Mike Pence, I might be making a little deal here. A little deal that says, all right, I will do this if you guys back and support me for a run in 2024. Because if Donald Trump backed Mike Pence in 2024, okay, and all the rest of us saw that he did that, we would all be Pence 2024. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's a possibility if he wanted a run for 2024.
David Brody is a really great reporter from CBN. Jenna Ellis retweeted him an hour ago. January 6, 2021, if you think you know how this thing ends, think again. Buckle your seatbelts.
Buckle your seatbelts.
And she just tweeted out that article about Mike Pence.
And she said, on Christ the solid rock I stand. I'm proud to be an American. Boom, boom. She's a rapper.
That's good. Yeah. So she tweeted this out. Interesting piece. I don't know what she means with it. I don't know what's going on there. And
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and Donald Trump has said 21 hour ago, time for Republican senators to step up and fight for this presidency like the Democrats would do if they actually won. The proof is irrefutable. Massive late night mail-in ballot drops in swing states, stuffing the ballot boxes on video, double voters and dead voters.
There's several threads.
Fake signatures, illegal immigrant voters, banned Republican vote watchers, more votes than actual voters. Check out Detroit and Philadelphia and much more. The numbers are far greater than what is necessary to win the individual swing states and cannot even be contested Courts are bad. The FBI and justice didn't do their job. And the United States election system looks like that of a third world country. Freedom of the press has been gone for a long time. It is fake news. And now we have big tech, Section 230, to deal with it. But when it is over, and this period becomes just another ugly chapter in our country history,
we will win. That's in bold caps. You can't see it because of the lighting back here, but that's Trump's own words. We will win. And
remember
Redneck
when
asked Michelle, do you think that Trump has a chance? Are we going to win this? Well, Donald Trump himself just told you. And he's the president of the United States right now. So he's going to do whatever it takes.
Let me put it this way. I just read you an article that said that Mike Pence controls this thing and he can make it so that Donald Trump wins. Legally.
And that's just one path. That's just one path.
Now that is the nuclear option. But if Mike Pence feels as strongly or even a titch of what we feel and what Donald Trump feels, and he sees that, what do you think is going to happen?
I don't feel like Mike Pence is a swamp creature. I don't get that feeling. I feel, and I also don't feel like he is a weak man that caves under pressure to other people. I don't get that feeling from him. But what the article stated there is the feeling that I get from him, that he wants to do things the right way, like the official way. He's got a proud, feeling of not nostalgia, but whatever the word is, for the way things are supposed to be done, right, in our nation. And so I think that within that, if he may feel like he has to follow that exact set of tradition.
Now, we still have the ability for Georgia to send their electors, for Pennsylvania to send their electors, for Wisconsin to send their electors, for Arizona to send their electors.
Doing it.
Right?
And Wisconsin.
It really could help if some of them just said, I'm sending these Republican slate of electors. Now, it's a sticky situation. And but all the balls are in our court. Like, what if I told you that, there's a stack of cash there. If you have to use it, you can use it. If for some reason you can't, it's like, it's there. They can use it. They can do this.
Barry says, I really want Trump to win. I still got my pact with your God and speaking to him daily. LOL. Keep doing that. Don't let up on all the rest of you. Keep speaking to God. We do know that when we pray the will of God, that you have what you ask.
Yeah.
The Bible is very, very clear on that. So I want you guys to be excited. We're going to be coming to you this week for any hearing or anything that's live coverage. I will be bringing it to you. Okay. Any breaking news that happens, we will at the very least be bringing it to you by evening time. On the days this week leading up to the 6th. So we've got, so tomorrow is Monday, a week and a half, right? We got a week and a half until the 6th, and a little blip called the New Year in there. And on January 1st, like we talked about today, Brexit is completed. It is a done deal. The timing of all this is so significant to see God moving. And I'm really, really excited to watch how it plays out. I have to tell you, I still have that feeling inside of me that is so excited. It's like every day I can't wait. Like, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? I already know how it's going to end. I just do. I don't know how it's going to get there, but I know how it's going to end. Leah, did you have anything that you wanted to sing or do or anything? Your guitar's upstairs. We have to sing it a cappella, whatever.
I didn't bring it down here?
Oh, no, it's all the way over there.
It's all the way over there.
Well, I know. I'm just thinking.
You want to sing the 12 Days of Christmas?
With your guitar or just by yourselves?
I guess just by yourselves. I don't know.
We're going to sing the 12 Days of Christmas. Leah, the other day I said I wanted to sing that, and she's like...
It's a long song.
I know, and I'm going to pull this up so we can all have it together. 12 Days of Christmas. No. The lyrics. Silly. Oh, that didn't even spell lyrics right. Yes, I meant the lyrics. Okay. All right. We're going to do this together because we're going to have...
It'd be way cool if you brought up lyrics of the picture.
Well...
Lyrics that had pictures.
Well, if I just pulled up the 12 Days of Christmas, then it might have, without the lyrics. We don't need the lyrics. We just need to know which order they go in.
Yep.
We can go back to the 12 Days of Christmas. here and see if we get something. We
No.
can just pull up one of these pictures. Right?
You don't want the story explained by Vox.
You know what, Leah?
You can go to the images.
I'm going to the images. I'm going to pull up a good image here. Oh, geez, that pyramid's kind of good.
There you go.
We'll open this. Open links in a new tab. Not the link. No, just open the image in a new tab. There we go. Oh, this is perfect. Are you guys ready? We don't need lyrics. We sing by signs. We're like ancient Egyptians.
Maids of milking, ladies dancing, lords of leaping.
Okay. Are you ready, guys? You're
What's
not ready.
what's the 11th one there? I don't like that picture.
Piper's piping.
That's Piper's piping, right?
All right.
Okay.
Are you guys ready? You're not ready.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. Do-do-do-do. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. Do-do-do-do. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 6th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 6 geese a-laying. Oh, yeah. 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 9th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings. This is hard.
4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 11 pipers piping, 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 drummers drumming, 11 pipers piping,
11 pipers piping,
10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. I meant to tell you, I thought you started it 2 keys above what I was going to start it in.
It was
That
high.
might have been the problem.
I brought it down.
Next time I'm going to start it out. Oh, boy.
That was hard. I wrote it down. I was like, I can't.
Oh, man, that was fun. Okay. All right, there's your Christmas song. If you guys missed our Christmas special, ooh, I have one more thing. So I know that there are a couple of you at least that have stuff that has not arrived that you shipped for us for Christmas. We will open them on air. Fear not whenever they do arrive. But I told
We were so excited.
we were so excited about Pastor Bill's fudge the other day. And I knew there was more in the package. I just got so excited about the fudge that I didn't open up the rest of the package. And I didn't look in it. I honestly did not. Leah kind of did. I was like, wait, don't open it. So we're going to open it now. The rest of Pastor Bill's package here.
I have an apron.
This
an apron.
is mine blue? Oh, that's blue. Is yours blue? Oh,
Yeah.
they're both blue.
He must have made these because he's a.
No, Bill is super crafty.
They have
super
pockets.
crafty.
They
have pockets?
He made them.
Oh my gosh, Bill,
He
this
didn't
is
buy
awesome.
them and
This
embroider
is
them.
so cool.
Like he made this.
Bill, this is so cool.
With pockets.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. We could just film our show and then everyone would know which one
It's
is
my
which
name
because we
tag.
get asked that a lot. Who's who?
Love it.
All right, we are currently using pot holders, Christmas pot holders that Bill sent us last time. I lost the chat. Hang on.
He made these. I know he did. I don't know how he did. He's
Bill,
like,
I don't know how you do it. It's awesome. I'll pull up, Bill, if you're watching, I'll pull up the email when we're done here if you have anything you want to say. And we are currently using the Christmas towels that he made that look just like this, but they're Christmassy on our stove. So this matches that one. That matches that pot holder.
is that not adorable?
Aren't
These
they so
things are so cute. You put
It
these.
says, bless this kitchen.
You
and
put these over the
They go
handle
over
of
your
your
stove, right? And it hangs there, so you always have a dish towel. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Do you know
thank
how
you,
much
thank
work
you.
goes into?
This
And
is
he
a lot
even
of
put
work.
little lacy on that
Look
little.
at that. Look at that. It's so adorable. Hang on, there's another one with another pot holder. Oh my gosh, this is so great. Oh, this is so cute. Oh, it's got a cow. It says farm to fork. That's what it says.
Oh my
It says farm to
gosh!
fork.
I feel like he
Farm
should just
to
be like
fork.
making little
And
children's
it does
dresses.
have lace on the edges.
Like, oh my gosh! You should have your own like line of children's
Look at this
clothing.
pot holder. They're thick pot holders too, so you don't have to get burnt. But look, to the point where there's even like lace on the back. Look at that. Isn't that awesome?
I don't know how he comes up with this stuff.
I don't know how he comes up with it either. So let me pull up the
This
email.
is so much detail here.
It's so awesome. And
These little
we are
pleats.
actually currently using all of the things that Bill has sent us.
Bill, you are a master crafter.
Yes, Bill.
I cannot believe you made these. I can, but like seriously. Did everybody in your hand? Because these are like legit stuff that people use all the
I'm
time.
not seeing an email. He may not be watching live, but I love this apron. So from now on, when we do things on our show, we're gonna have to wear the aprons that have the name. I keep wanting to tie it in the back. But thank you, Bill, for that. That's so awesome. And I sent him an email that night when I saw the box sitting there. The box, I was like, I love that this has. You know what this would be perfect for? Collecting eggs.
Yes.
Outside with the chickens. Did you show them the actual pocket? Oh, you can't really see them very well, but yeah, there's pockets in there. That's so cool. All right. Dagmar King says, I love your 12 days of Christmas. Thank you for making me smile. God bless you both and your entire family. Yeah, Breadneck says, I thought that the ladies were a little bit too big to wear the dresses. You're right about that. Okay, so we're going to be back. Who knows?
I'd
this
like
week
to
at some
welcome
point.
you to Munchkinland. I'm sorry.
I don't know when we will be here this week, but I will be trying to put the shows up and scheduling them in enough advance for you to be able to join us. So we were gonna have Brick Girl on today, but she wasn't able to make it. So perhaps next Sunday you guys can look forward to that. I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year that's coming. New Year's Eve is Thursday, right? And New Year's Day will be Friday. And who knows what's going to happen after all that. But on Sunday, we will be rejoicing with you for the completed Brexit. They all love your glasses today, Leah. They think you look really smart in your, and you, not that you aren't smart, but you're like the kind of smart, like, did you want to sing another song? Okay, we're going to sign off. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. If you want Christmas cheer and you didn't watch, or maybe you did and you want to watch it again, go back and watch our Resistance Chicks 4th annual Christmas special. It was so fun, so awesome. We got a lot of amazing things.
It won't be the same old redneck 2021.
This is going to be the best year of your life. Absolutely. So we have a P.O. box. If you want to send us your letters, 107 Milford, Ohio 45150. We will read your letters on air unless otherwise noted. We have a website. If the worst should happen, and even if the worst doesn't happen, go to our website, resistancechicks.com. From what I understand, it's still not working with the mobile phones, but if you have a tablet or a computer, you can find us there. All the latest of everything is there. In addition to our podcast, You can just do a search for Resistance Chicks podcast, and we are everywhere. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Deezer. We're on anything that you can imagine. There are so many.
Never heard of that one.
Podcast sites, and we're on all of them. I think we might even be on Pandora. I'm not sure about that one, but I think we're on Amazon. We are just everywhere. Where you listen to a podcast, we are probably there. So I don't think I did the Christmas special in the podcast, and I probably
Thank
won't.
you, Jose Diaz. Des is just Des. Des said Diaz.
Yeah, I don't know. Jose Day, maybe. I don't know.
Day.
But thank you. Apple Mark says, love you all. Merry Christmas to you. Yeah, feel free to exchange information if you're chatting with someone and exchange emails. I can also help facilitate that if you need to send me a message to do that, if you don't want to put your email in the chat. But the best place to find somebody is on Facebook too. So, all right, we love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it is
not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth.
If it's actually the truth. All right, God bless, guys. Bye.
I was cold.